Hello, this is Jeff Bird with Jeffrey Bird Coaching. And this evening, I have the privilege of being with Steve Feden, who is the senior pastor and founder of Calvary Chapel Fluvanna here in the beautiful state of Virginia. And wanted to meet with him this evening because something that is very dear to his heart is the topic of relationships. As a matter of fact, the sermon this past Sunday was about relationships. And when we look at the state of relationships in our families, in our nation, and the world around us, it's pretty clear that there's not a whole lot of us who couldn't benefit from some words of wisdom in the relationship field in some way to get a little, even if we're good at it, we can always be a little better than what we are. So thank you so much for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah. My pleasure.
This is exciting, and I know you have some good wisdom for us here because of the passion you have on this subject.
Yeah, I don't know how much wisdom I have. As a pastor, I draw on God's wisdom from the Bible, so that's what I have, and that's what's been working in my life and in our church as well. So I'll share anything I can that might help, including my failures and things I've seen and learned over the years. So whatever I can do to help, I'd be glad to.
Thank you. And as you're going to see, one of the things that I like the most about Steve is that he is down to earth. If he doesn't know, he'll say he doesn't know. I've heard him do that. I've heard you do that a number of times from the pulpit, and just real honest and really has a heart to help people. So before we dive in, why don't you, if you can tell us just a little bit about your journey that brought you where you are now, so people kind of have an idea what happened in your life to get you here.
Yeah, boy, to talk about my journey is a 47-year process, and we don't have that kind of time.
We hit the highlights.
Yeah, and the highlights would be I went to graduate school for occupational therapy, got a master's degree, did that for just a couple of years and became a horseshoer, and became a Christian when I was about 24 years old. And through the course of going to church and learning about the Bible, I started teaching Bible studies, and the very abridged version is that those Bible studies grew, and I had to make a choice between being a horseshoer and being a pastor, and I just knew God was calling me into the ministry. So I don't have a seminary degree or anything like that, but when I started teaching the Bible, people started coming and looking to me for leadership, so that's the way it sort of materialized. And so when I say, you asked me earlier, did you plant the church, or were you the yeah, sort of, but it was really God that did it. It was never my plan. So that's the real abridged version.
But he was giving something to you that people were seeing and resonating with and wanted more of.
Right.
So when we look at relationships, and you're just thinking about, you've known a lot of people, you've had the opportunity to work with a lot of people and hear a lot of stories.
Yeah.
When we boil it down to what are we looking for, first of all, and be that with God, be that with other people, there's common themes there. When you boil down those relationships, what is it essentially that we're looking for, that when we find it, it works, and when we don't have it, it doesn't work?
Yeah, well, I don't want to make things oversimplified, because we could obviously say, well, love, of course, we would all agree, but then we have to define our terms. I think we live in a world where even the word love can be misunderstood or misinterpreted or interpreted different ways by different people. And so I think now one of the biggest things that we have to do in our culture at this time is define our terms. Because when two people talk about something, they may be talking about the same thing. I heard one guy say it this way: we have the same vocabulary but different dictionaries. So I think, when we talk about what is at the core of relationships, the challenge is we all have them. We're not meant to be alone, and everything you read about inmates in prisons where they're in seclusion and restriction for 24 hours or 23 hours a day by themselves, it's just not good for the human mind to be alone. And so we have to be in these relationships, and I don't know that you can boil it down to a simple thing. Selflessness, love, and those things are interconnected. And of course, as a pastor, I would say that the spiritual component is is more than just love. It's unconditional love, and that means that there's no condition under which I will not love you. Now, what that looks like in abusive relationships, and what that looks like in different And that's why it gets complicated and it's not as black and white as we would like it to be. But I know the banner over our home is through love, serve one another. So that works in our house for the most part.
Okay. So now thinking about that serving, love as service to each other. When you see the people you can think of that would come to mind that have struggled the most with healthy relationships, would you say that that lack of a service kind of attitude or adding to the other is prevalent in those relationships?
Sure. Anytime a person is in a relationship to get what they need or to get, let me go back even to say that. Anytime we come to somebody needing something from them, we're not free to love them. So if I enter into any relationship, a work relationship, a family relationship, a recreational relationship, any kind of relationship, if I come needing something and you come needing something and that person comes needing something, then we're sort of forced to manipulate each other because I need to get something from you. I need to derive my happiness from you, or I need to derive my meaning from you. And anytime a person comes to a relationship with a need, then it's destined to struggle, because especially if maybe both people, or if it's a different, if it's a work relationship, maybe it could be more than two people involved. And anytime people are coming with needs as a priority, then people get hurt. And some of those needs are sinful needs. Sometimes it can be a need for ambition. You have to settle in your life right away that people are more important than things, or people are more important than money. Because if money's more important, then you'll use people to get money. Or if your happiness is more important, then you'll use people to get happiness. And that's why there's so much destruction in relationships, because so many people have very fragile identities, and they're looking. Everybody's out in the world to get what they can get from the other person, and there's just so few people that say, "Hey, I'm content. I'm cool. What can I do for you?" And at the risk of maybe talking too much here, I think a lot of it does go back to identity. And I think the number one thing I see in terms of relationships that people struggle with later in life is if they've grown up in families where there's been abusiveness or dysfunction. That just seems to really twist people and make it very hard for them to have healthy relationships down the road. Or there's definitely a relearning process. If they've grown up with abuse, that's what they've learned and that's what they know, and that goes into the next relationship unless they take steps to fix what's been broken. And because there's tremendous hope for people. So I don't know if you want to, which way you want to go with all those different threads I just laid out. But
well, because I know you could give a lot of illustrations of each one of those examples there, probably, and how it plays out. But maybe let's go back to you for a moment.
Sure.
Because you weren't born with this perspective, obviously. None of us are. So there's been a growth thing. What were some of the factors or people or understanding that you came to that, because you've got a lot of people looking to you for a lot every day of the week.
Yeah, sure.
So what has helped you the most just in everyday practical life that maybe somebody watching could duplicate and could use in your life as well?
And I would say that one great benefit I had is I did grow up in a loving home. My parents are both teachers, and they may not know it or know how they did it, but I learned grace, which is another hard word to define. Grace is getting something you don't deserve. So I learned grace, and I learned love, and I learned support from my parents, who supported crazy things I wanted to do, and they were just always there for me. And so I have that already to build on. So I feel like I've been blessed in that I have that, when a lot of people don't have that. So starting with that, but even still had some relational dysfunction in my own life, and it wasn't until I started reading the Bible. I mean, just to be honest, it wasn't until I started reading the Bible and starting to learn about not human love, but God's love. And again, the challenge with human love is it can often, even kindnesses we do for other people can often be self-centered. I do for you and I expect in return. And how many times have we heard that in conversations with people, like, well, I did this for them, but they never do, or they don't do it. And when you learn about God's love for us, this unconditional, sacrificial, which is the other real important thing about love, real, true love is gauged by sacrifice. What a person is willing to sacrifice, the degree to which they're willing to sacrifice is the degree to which love is demonstrated.
Wow.
So
that's a sobering reality.
It is. Think about it. A guy, it's Sunday and the football game is on, and his wife says, "Hey, I'd like to go out and plant flowers." And you're like, I love football. Well, do you love football or do you love your wife? And so you can't love both. That's another thing about love. If we're kind of keeping a list, it's unconditional and sacrificial, and it can only have one object, really. I mean, you can love a lot of people in a general sense, but there can only be one prime passion in a person's life. And so when you're married, is it going to be football or is it going to be my wife? Is it going to be my recreation? So when she needs me, it's that hard part which people struggle with, of sacrificing what I want for what they want. Now, when you have two people doing that, it's great, because I say, "Okay, honey, I help you," but she sees, "Well, I want to watch football." She says, "No, you watch your football game." No, I'll help you. So now the argument is a good argument. We're arguing about helping each other rather than about a fight about what we want.
What a good problem to have, huh?
Absolutely.
I think a rare one, but a good one, right?
Yeah.
So for anybody who may be watching us this evening and they're listening to this and they're thinking, "Boy, do I have a long way to go."
Yeah.
Where would you start them at down this path? Okay,
Yeah.
I know I've got issues. I know I'm self-centered.
Yeah.
I look at the man and the woman in the mirror, and I don't always like what I see.
Yeah.
But I want to get better at this. I believe there's hope. Like
Right.
you said, there's always hope no matter the situation.
Right.
And I want to get better.
Yeah.
What would be, and they came to you just in a casual conversation, where would you want to start them at?
Well, if someone is sick, they don't know what's wrong with them, they have to go to the doctor. Because they know their symptoms, they know they're not well, and you see the symptoms, whether it's drug abuse or alcohol or anger or bitterness or grudge or shame or all these different things that can then, the issue is an internal one, but it has outward manifestations. It comes out in different places, and it comes out as road rage, or it comes out as bullying in children, or it comes out as workaholism, in a father or a dad. So there's all these places that where the dysfunction kind of shows itself, but those things aren't the problem. So the challenge is if you have an infection, an internal systemic infection, and it comes out as a sore on your skin, and you go to the doctor and he just puts a Band-Aid on, puts some cream on it, puts a Band-Aid on it, well, it's only addressing the symptoms, but not the problem. So as long as the problem or that root still exists, then any attempt to put a Band-Aid on it is just going to be very temporary. So how do we know what those root issues even are? I mean, where is a mirror that we can look in?
Right.
Because the world, we're all struggling with the same things. So somehow we have to go outside of ourselves. We can't self-diagnose the problem because we're part of it. So that's where I say, beginning to learn about God, and which is what you'd expect me to say, because that's the way I live. That's what's been for me. Having worked in bars as a bouncer for years, and having, I wasn't born Pastor Steve.
Right.
And so I recognized at a point in my life that there were some things that had gotten twisted. And those affect all my relationships. And so my goal in life has to be not needy. That has been to be not needy. Wow. So I come to every relationship with saying, I want to not need from you, but all I need is to love you. That's all I need. I just need unlovable people to love. Because that's God.
Wow, what a goal.
Because this is the God of the universe who looks at human beings. I mean, there's people on the earth we don't even want to hang out with. I don't want to be around that person because there's such a drama. There's so much mess. They just leave a trail of destruction.
Right.
And nobody wants to be near them. And God says, not only do I want to be near you, not only do I love you, but I'll come and I'll dwell in your life, and I will begin to fix what you couldn't fix. I'll begin to show you what's broken that you didn't know was broken. You thought it was this, but it's really much deeper. And then as you begin to obey the Lord and you begin to learn about His grace and His mercy and His love, and you get a new identity. And that identity then it starts at the core, and then it works out from there, where then that's where healing really can begin. Everything else is sort of a superficial attempt to constrain behavior.
Right.
And it works sometimes, it doesn't work other times. And, you know, the hard thing as a pastor is in a church, you've got people at all different parts of the spectrum. You know, you have people in church that don't know God. They're coming, they're just kind of trying to figure it out, and they think that just reading the Bible is going to be good enough. Well, it doesn't work. You know, people say, well, I tried church, it didn't work. If you obey the Lord, see, the hard thing is actually obeying God. Like if I'm in a broken relationship and God says, you got to forgive. Well, I forgave him last week. You got to forgive 70 times 7. That's ongoing. That's 490 times, Jesus says, to forgive. And for us as humans, we go, well, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. Okay? Then you're not going to find the peace and the joy and the wholeness that's been promised. So that's where would I tell someone to start? You know, for me, I would say, open the Bible and start to read and ask God to show himself to you and to show you what is broken in your relationship with him. You know, every relationship for me, you know, again, biblically starts with if you have no relationship with God, then you'll have a difficulty in relationships with people because you come from a human perspective, and that's going to be different than God's perspective on things. So getting to know God, and that'll change this relationship. The vertical one changes all the horizontal ones as you read and learn and apply in faith the things that God says to do. And forgiveness is, I would say 9 out of 10 conflict resolution situations I am called in to help resolve trace back to unforgiveness.
Wow.
It's huge. It's huge.
And I'm thinking, too, as you're saying these things, you know, that I'm thinking of the quote that you can't give what you don't have.
Right.
You know, and that
That's
the
right.
more I see, even if I receive it from another person, it helps. If I see God coming in and having unconditional love and forgiveness and sacrifice and all those things. Once I've experienced those things, the more I wash those through my mind and heart, then the more I tend to become that way in my relationships with the others, and things start to improve.
Yep. The more you are able to receive that, then the freer you are to give it.
Yeah.
So there are huge things that we could talk about for hours. And these are big topics, but they're important.
Well, as you can probably tell, we have touched and got some real insight on some very, very important things. And things that I think, if we're all honest, we know that they apply to every one of us. So we can't cover them all in depth tonight, but if you look in the links, I'm going to give you some resources to Steve's church, Calvary Chapel in Fluvanna, and some other contact info for him. If you want to look up some other things he's doing, or maybe shoot out another question. And of course, as you know, I'll be back next week with some wisdom from some other leaders in the community. But just want to thank you so much, Steve, for being with us this evening.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
It has been my pleasure as well.
If we could encourage your viewers that if you are in relationships that have a lot of conflict, it's so easy to blame other people. And I would say first place to look would be at yourself, and maybe spend some time self-examining. And so get help. You know, see if maybe there's some help you can get that can help other relationships. Yeah. Don't just assume it's the other person's fault all the time. Wow. And that's just a basic thing to encourage, because it can get really hopeless, you know, and people get really lonely. We're surrounded by people, and we got thousands of Facebook friends, but I find that people are just really lonely. So if there's anything I can do to help anybody who's watching, then please contact us, and I can tell you more about the God of the Bible and my own life, or whatever I can share to help.
Okay. Well, you heard it from him directly. Take him up on it. Thanks so much, Jeffrey Bird Coaching. We'll see you next time.